Thank you. We'll start. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Plans B meeting for the Harpenden Town Council. Before I start, can I please advise everybody that this meeting is recorded and videoed. As long as everybody's happy with that, we will continue. It will be on the internet in a couple of days' time for anybody who wants to review it. Okay, so just advise everybody the formal procedure. So we'll go through the formal things first and then we'll come down to it. So, first of all, do we have any apologies for ourselves?
We don't, Chair, no.
No? Good, thanks very much. Do we have any declarations of interest? Anybody? No? No. Right, minutes of the last meeting, I'm just going to sign that. Held on, it wasn't that, on
It's the 9th of August.
9th of August. Is that right? Is it 9th of August? Sorry. I've just got to sign that, sorry. Oh, yeah, that one. Right. Change page. The other way. Do we have any public questions tonight? Not really, no. No, I've been advised already. No, good. Okie dokie. Now, if I can just explain to everybody the procedure here. I will be doing the application for which we've got guests here tonight first. But if I can just also explain Harpenden Town Council sit here in purely an advisory capacity. Can I make it quite clear? We have no power. I know people have rung my colleagues and other councillors regarding several applications asking for us to reject it or approve it and that. Can I say quite clearly, the decision is taken by the district council, not the town council. We actually look at all applications in the town and make comments. Our comments are forwarded to St Albans. The officers read them, very rarely make comments on them, and they in turn will make their actual decision. So anybody who wants to either object or speak for an application, I do ask them to write to the district council. If an application gets called in to committee, and a small percentage of all applications come to Plans North, which cover Harpenden, and when it gets discussed by a committee of district councillors. I do sit on Plans North as a district councillor, as I have done for 5 years. So any application that comes before us tonight that is already been asked to come to Plans North, I don't normally allow a long discussion because it will eventually come to the committee. In the long run, the officer in St Albans makes a decision either to approve the application or refuse it. If it's refused, the applicant then has two options: to put another application in, altering its with his advice, or secondly, he can appeal to the inspector in Bristol when the ultimate decision is actually made. I can just explain in that respect. So I'm going to start with the application to the agenda. Which is 2016-2573, which is a proposal for a two-bedroom dwelling with basement, new access and associated landscaping at the land rear of 19 and 21 Morton End Lane. As I said to you at the beginning, I believe we've got a speaker for and a speaker against tonight. We're allowed 3 minutes, and if I can let the speaker who would like to speak against the application to come forward to the table and have their 3 minutes and say what they'd like to say, please.
Stand here, is that?
You can go have a seat, sorry.
There should be a chair.
There you are, no, seat at the end there, sorry. My colleague was doing it. You haven't got to stand, don't worry. We're not that far down here.
Right, my name's David Hanson. I'm here to object against the proposal. And I'm speaking on behalf of all of the residents of the close who are all in common view that they should object to this proposal. The development and the proposal is unsuitable and inappropriate for the close. The bungalows were built of consistent construction in the 60s, and the proposal is outsized and excessive for the space that it's being built on. The dwelling is not 1.5 stories, as claimed by the developers, and the massing effect for the close will create a 2-story effect, and it will have an overbearing effect on the close. It will also create a loss of privacy, particularly number 5 and 4 within the close. I guess that the single-track road provides relatively limited access. It's a very narrow track. Recently, council were resurfacing the close and were unable to get their equipment down due to the narrow nature of it. So I think that has to be taken into consideration. I guess parking access will also be very difficult, given the nature of how the drive will be located in relation to the access road. There will be a sharp turn as well required. There is an aspect of drainage which hasn't been considered and detailed specifically within the plans. There is a mention of disabled use, but I don't see any inclusion of any capability for lifts from the basement to the second floor. You can see sort of limited access to the stairs. I think in actual fact the proposal for it can easily be converted into a 4-bedroom, not a 2, given the consideration of how the basement could be converted. I think one other aspect is, I guess, the urban grain is not fundamentally consistent with the close. As I said, the close is of a consistent design, and there was a planning application for 1 Morton End Close to convert that to a 2-bedroom, to a 4-bedroom, 2-story. That was turned down in 2006. I think just for information, the reference is 56038. I think an additional factor that should also be considered is the existing perspective of the bungalows. They were all set back 10 metres from the curbside. This proposal puts the property right on the curbside at 1 metre distance. There's certain aspects that should also be considered, and things like trees, and there are carport considered within the plans. There are hedges at the back of number 21. There's a significant hedgerow which is mentioned would not be considered, would not be affected, but obviously they would have to come down. That have an effect, but that's not stated correctly on the application. I would also like to add that in terms of the precedent, in terms of creating a basement, this would actually have potential for further applications to produce basements, to build basements within Harpenden. I'm not sure that that's appropriate. In terms of the parking spaces, it is limited to 2 parking spaces. So there is a possibility in terms of creating other parking problems due to the availability of parking within the close. Possibility for further applications on the back of numbers 23 and 25 to do a similar effect in terms of being able to also have additional applications on the back. One of the things I understand that should be in consideration is under the national planning policy, development of residential gardens isn't actually what it should be considered with the utmost thought before actually taking place. In terms of any other aspects, I think
You've got 30 seconds.
Okay, sorry. I think one comment that I fundamentally disagree with, that the house will complete the close. It will not complete the close. The close is already complete, and it was done in the 60s. I think this is an extension of the close, and the materials specified within the plan are not consistent with the materials and the effect that we see within the close already today.
That's fine.
Thank you.
You've had 3 minutes. Sorry, it's been kind, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the details. I don't have to say it. Right. Right. Okay. You're Mr. Brewer, are you?
Yeah, I am. Yes, I am.
Thank you, Betty. Fine. You likewise. Got these 3 minutes to have your say.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Andy Brewer from Redbridge Corporation. I'm the applicant and I'm speaking in support of the application regarding the land to the rear of 19 to 21 Morton End Lane, Harpenden. Redbridge are a local-based, family-run company, and we've built numerous houses in Harpenden over the past 25 years. We pride ourselves in working closely with all the neighbours of any development to ensure minimum disruption to everyone. Our application proposes the building of a 1.5-storey, 2-bedroom home. This will front Morton End Close by combining the 2 rear gardens of 19 and 21, thus forming the continuation of the existing terrace of the cul-de-sac. Even though the house does not fall into the conservation area, we have put a lot of time and effort into making the house an attractive building which fits well into the surrounding area. We have tried to promote natural materials and interesting features in a traditional way, which makes for a beautiful house. We do feel a dwelling would logically complete the close. It does not change the character of the close, but will only result in shorter gardens of number 19 and 21 Morton End Lane. We've carried out a highways report, which is in support of the proposal on the basis there would be no impact on the highway. I believe there was a concern raised from the neighbours regarding the proximity of the new dwelling. The new house number 6 Morton End Close is over 16 metres away at the closest point, which I feel is more than ample. The property has been designed to conform with local planning guidelines and provides an outlook which is not overbearing in any of existing properties or neighbouring gardens. When looking at the plans, particularly the section through the site, you can see the exact height of our house relative to the surrounding properties. It is true 1.5-storey dwelling, which makes midpoint transition between the scale of the properties of Morton End Close and Morton End Lane. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today, and I hope you can support our application.
Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Let's see. got detailed plans in front, each of these have a full set of detailed plans.
I feel it's out of keeping with the streets.
It is or it isn't?
It is not.
It is not. Thank you. I mean, my concern with all these things is when you have a basement with 2 rooms that could be used as other accommodation, a 2-room games room and a gym. That is my concern. Personally, but we have no influence over
I understand.
And the difficulty is that if with parking you kind of got to go with what is there. There's 2 bedrooms and you've got the 2 parking spaces, which is sufficient to.
I mean, the close is very, very tight.
Yeah.
No,
exactly. But I think that's something that will be looked at very closely by district manager. I think I'm concerned about the street scene, and I think I'm concerned about it fitting into the code. I am concerned with it overbearing on the property that's next to on the close. So I know it's in the back garden of Moorten Lane, but actually it is, even though this says it's plus 122 and this is plus 125, actually because of the gradient of the road, it is considerably higher, and I do think that is a concern. Yeah, I do think that it's a dominating that. I do. However, I do understand why you would look to put a property on this site.
I'd be happy with a 2-bedroom bungalow rather than a 1.5 story.
No, I agree.
Personally, those are my thoughts, but I mean we have no.
I think it'd be better if it was really a bungalow.
Rather than because of the way the land rises.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want to check with you was, what was it that we were talking about something to do with back gardens? Did we ever? Because I remember we spoke about this before.
Well,
we don't really have.
We haven't got a policy
No, we haven't
as
got
such
a policy.
to do it. It's more street scene come. I mean, I think a bungalow could go there.
No,
A bungalow.
Yeah.
But not. I mean, I think it's the expression of 1.5 stories with a basement as well, which makes it really difficult to have.
I do think it's overdevelopment of the site, and I think it's just about overdevelopment of the site, just because of the way it overbears on the neighbouring property. I think.
Sorry, Chris. Have your say, please. We have you now.
I'll wait for my colleague to finish.
No.
Right, I'm always concerned with these ones where you get them described as just a comment, the starting comment. So they get described that the land at the rear of, yes, it is technically and legally, but it certainly should be displayed as facing onto or exiting onto Moorten Lane Close. Because when I went round today, I went into the close and thought, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Having looked at the plans on the bit, plans in there to go up and basically piece it together. So a little bit of a description there that was slightly misleading. But having said that, that's a matter for authorities to accept or not. Can't say that it's overdevelopment of the site. It's a fairly large site. Certainly would say that it is out of keeping with the street scene. It's far too close to the roadway. Would prefer to see it certainly set back. Believe that the 2-story is out of keeping as well, or 1.5 story as it's being described. Doesn't, and as others have said already, would be more comfortable with the bungalow. I don't think that we can find good grounds to refuse anything on that site at all. It's a very large site, but I do object to what is proposed. It's out of keeping. It's the only thing that I've already come up with at the moment, other than, there again, the lack of front garden to it, etc., is lack of parking.
So our recommendation would be
Mine would be,
to refuse as set out.
Yeah.
Why would be to refuse to set up? But if it was remodelled to be along the lines of a bungalow,
You were similar thinking?
Yes, so it's just the way we word it.
On the
isn't it?
street
So
scene.
on the street scene, yeah. I think,
So we're not anti a development there, but we are anti what
this
you proposed
development.
at the
Yeah.
time.
Because I completely agree with Councillor Campbell. I feel if the correct development came up to this site, I do not think you could refuse.
Yeah,
It's
a bungalow
Yeah.
would be more acceptable.
Yeah.
and set back further to the
I
right,
said that further to the right.
and with the adequate parking taking into account what development or what expansion options that there would be. Anyway, that's to the future.
That's for the future.
We're
We're only
looking
looking
at
at
this
what's in
one,
front of us. Yes.
and with what we've got out of keeping the street scene, most certainly concerns about parking and future parking as regards to permitted development rights would lend to the property.
So as in front of us tonight, we're going to recommend that it is refused because of its street scene and because of the 1.5 feet 2-storey element. Something that overs on the size of it on the.
And I think we should say something about parking and the permitted development
Yeah.
as well.
say express concerns on
Express concerns on the parking element.
Yeah, because in principle, one could argue
No, exactly.
it would be okay.
So we have to put this in basic terms. Sorry, just addressing the audience now. You've heard our view on it in that respect. Obviously, this view will go forward to the district council, who will actually, they could overturn completely what we're saying in that respect. So, in principle, we have said, as we look at it, and I visited the site earlier today, and likewise to my colleagues, if a bungalow had been proposed there, we couldn't find a reason to refuse it. But because of its height and that, and the overdevelopment perhaps of the site and its closeness to the close, we're asking that it, as far as we're concerned, that the application is refused as it before us. Okay, you'll get a copy of this details eventually with the address you've put down to the things. We'll pass that forward to you. We can't make any more comments because we have no more power.
Could I ask a question about where we go from
Well,
here?
as I said to you at the beginning, your next move should be to approach the district council. You can look on the website, you can see which officer is looking after this application, and any kind of objection letters are put on the website and are looked after by the district council in that respect. We, as town council, have no more power over this application, and we will not discuss it anymore.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
from then onwards, it now is in the hands of the district council. If it was called into committee, I would just sit on that committee at Pounds North, so that we start all over afresh again. Sorry, one question.
I assume as objectors, would be invited to attend, or would that be a closed door?
Well, that would be if your local councillor, I'm not your local district councillor, you'd need to ask them if it could be called into committee, and then it would be discussed if the officer recommended approval, it would come to committee. If the officer recommended refusal, it wouldn't come to committee, depending how it was called in. But that's sort of as a guidance for in that respect. Sorry, I'll help you in the way I can do, but unfortunately, this occasion isn't the right time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, we have to be fair on all sides.
Thank
I mean,
you.
if you want to ask me anything,
No, I know how that's...
you heard the view of us. We're only a committee of 4.
Yep.
We can only pass our book.
Yeah, I know how it works.
I'm sure you know better than I do how to
I don't know
work the
about
system.
that.
But if that helps you tonight, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And you know, we do what we can do.
Thank you very much.
That's okay. For your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, are you okay?
You're right.
Yeah, just a minute.
Would you like some help?
No, not just yet. I'm just waiting for my foot to wake up. It's all right, that's all right. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, we can listen up.
Yeah.
You've
Would
got
you like the list?
No, I'm all right.
Thank you for
Thank you.
listening.
Just got sleep.
Thank you, team, for that. That was very sensible discussion. It is difficult. I'll give these plans back to Helen. I'm not sure what she wants to do. I don't think anybody particularly wants to take them.
I quite jealous of, I like
Decorate the
these
bedroom
though.
wall.
Look at these. Look how cool these are.
Yeah, all right. Well,
The A3 thing.
the cost is a lot of money.
I have absolutely no use for one
I'm not
whatsoever,
sure
but I do really like
these
them.
or whether they printed these off. Yeah. It's difficult when we try to be fair to all sides, but we can't.
Presumption is in the favour, I think.
Okay, team, back to the beginning, back to page 11. We'll start at the beginning. So we go on to 2016, 2354, a new 5-bedroom dwelling from the demolition of the existing dwelling and outbuildings at 107 Country Lane. Now, this was quite interesting because there is actually an application at the moment which the District Council has granted for a 2-storey side extension, part 2-storey, part single-storey rear extension, front door windows, alterations. Although this town council raised concerns regarding the parking provision because it is directly opposite Crabtree School.
Wasn't this one on the last week?
I think it 0082 has been quite early on in the year. No, it was quite early on because it's gone through the system. St Albans recommended permission for the extension. Obviously now they put a new application in accordingly. I mean, I was a couple of seconds late tonight because I actually drove up because on the internet it looked like this was part of the semi. And it is part of the semi. So they're trying to demolish half of the semi, which does, I know it's a building problem, not a planning problem, and it is quite a large site. The only thing about it is that I'm worried about the size of the new part, a 5-bedroom dwelling. There is at the moment, as far as I can see, only 2 parking spaces. It may have 3, depending how they configure the front garden. It is directly opposite Crabtree School, with no parking at all. Sorry.
I drove up there as well, and the parking outside is extremely limited. Here, it is right opposite the school, and there was only parking for 2 cars, and that's tight, actually, at the front of the property. It's just that a 5-bedroom dwelling, and well, it looked like there were only 2 parking spaces available. I didn't really think it was feasible. Looking at the plots.
My difficulty with this is I have much to plan on the machine half of them.
I used to print out these plans, but I don't think I saw a slightly.
Do we have a site plan on this matter?
We've got a. Yes, I've just looked at the actual details of the application. They say there is 2 parking spaces at the moment, and they say that there is 2 parking spaces proposed. So they're not. So my immediate thought would be on 5 bedrooms, it has to have 3. My immediate thing, it has to be refused on parking because of the proximity to the school.
That was my thought.
And it's also, I just think that if you're adding on to a semi-detached property and you're sort of like, you're completely transforming the other half of it, and it's
I'm worried
it's a
that the
bit
roof
over
is not going to match the next door semi.
Yeah. But also looking from the front of the house, I could see this garage here, but you couldn't access it because of this side extension here.
Yeah.
Sort of cut off all access to this garage. So I thought it was refused on the grounds of parking.
Parking
and size.
I would say street scenery.
Well, it's very well shielded by trees. It's hard to see.
Well, presumably they demolish all those to build a 5-bedroom property.
Trees aren't forever, so
They are
I would
correct.
always go with the fact that you visualise it without the tree. So
Although the one next door has been sort of extended.
No, the one next door, because the application that was granted for the extension, if you actually look at it, it would have matched what next door's done.
Right.
Because next door's done a front extension and side extension. And I think the extension, as originally proposed earlier this year, and indeed granted, actually would make the 2 semis not matching. This currently, I think, is my personal thoughts. It's just a step too far because it's part of the semi.
absolutely agree. It's only okay, fine. We've got what is existing. That makes it a bit more difficult, and I've looked at that wrong.
So size, bulk, and emphasise only 2 parking spaces have been allocated in a road that is opposite a school.
No, I agree.
Okay, you.
Yeah.
You get whatever you need to get going. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I actually couldn't believe it was a semi. Because it doesn't actually say so in the application. It just says demolition of existing dwellings. So. Anyway, we won't dwell on that one. 5/2016-2411, single-storey side extension at 6 Bolsey Gardens. Our officers have recommended size and scale of the proposal and excessive flank wall that extends on the rear boundary. And indeed, that this would result in the loss of the garage and, again, insufficient parking. So I tend to agree completely with what our officers have said.
As laid out.
So do I.
So
And I also felt there was an effect on number 37 next door.
well, we could express concern on
Impact on number
impact
37
on neighbouring
because
property.
for part of this protrusion here, they wouldn't be able to open the left-hand door on their car. It would affect them.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So, concern regarding impact on neighbouring property. Next one's non-material amendment. I'm not going to worry too much about that. 5/2016-2183. It's only alterations to the colours of the windows. Don't think we get involved in that. And then 5/2016-2410, replacement doors and windows, 28 Hillside Road. Conservation area, and our officer said no objection, subject to the appropriate design, which I'm quite happy with, because the conservation officer in St Albans would make sure it complied with. Next one, 5/2016-2423, 2-storey front extension incorporating new entrance port, partial garage conversion, garage roof conversion from flat pitched, single-storey rear extension with roof lights, side lean to roof and alterations to the openings, 14 Carpenter's Close. I mean, again, I like what the officer said, the impact on number 16, concerned, number 16 at the moment has not written in to object, but I have thought,
Yeah.
I visited it as well. I felt that the streets thing, they all look very similar to these properties, actually, and they're kind of linked, detached.
Yeah,
It's
they
quite
are.
interesting. And I thought that wasn't really in keeping with the street thing.
And I agree with size, scale and
Yes.
impact. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yes.
then I think something that's really important that we always talk about here is for the record that we have to be the eyes and ears of the neighbours as much as they might not have seen this to be on holiday or not
Yeah.
to be allowed to take.
Yes.
it was only 2 weeks ago, so it could be
Yeah.
2 weeks. So I'm happy with
Has
what,
played out.
I'm
Yes.
happy with what the officer said.
Yes.
Right, next one we're going to get involved in discharge of conditions, which is 5/2016-2484. Don't get involved in that one. Right, next one, 5/2016-2531, single-storey rear extension and single-storey side extension, 22 The Pleasance. This has had various applications going back to 2008. And St Albans granted permission earlier on this year for an extension of the garage. So, I mean, the officer said that no objection, no neighbours objected. I can't see a problem with it at all.
I mean, there's a
It's
slight
only single
impact on
storey.
number 21 with just that bit there, but really,
But I think unless 21's raised
no,
comments, it's
Yeah.
difficult for us to,
it is.
Yeah.
so I'm quite happy with as it is.
Do we believe that it's addressed the previous concerns?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because it had an existing garage, and this is, well, this was 2008. Particularly lawful to know that condition, the fact that someone's doing needs to be highly. Again, I think this is technical. I think this is an officer's decision, which we're not qualified to do. Honestly, I think it's a lawfulness of, because the law's changed so much since 2008.
Right,
In 8 years, it's difficult for us to, plus the fact we haven't got any access to the rear of the property to actually have a look, so. But no, I'm happy with that.
Yep.
Right, 5/2016-2535, demolition of existing side and rear extension and construction of part single, part two-storey side and rear extension. Front canopy, rear decking with steps, rear roof lights, full rear living room.
These are amendments though, right?
This is an amendment to what was granted earlier on this year, which very similar to what the, I think they're just taking it a little bit further. St Albans granted permission earlier on this year on it, so I think we've got minor changes. It's just not enough for us to worry about. Again, it's at the rear, and we can't see it. Nobody's made a comment.
And they're on large plots, and this one's set back
Yeah.
from its neighbours already, so they wouldn't see it.
No, well done.
And that one's, well, there might be a small impact, but they are big plots.
I got this by dozen with Japanese.
Oh, well, total sympathy.
Right.
Good.
5/2016-2314. Two-storey front, part single, part two-storey rear, new canopy roof to existing front entrance, new side dormer windows, alterations to openings, and new side roof lights, 4 bamboo wood, East Common. I don't want to talk too much about this one because it's coming to committee. It's been called in, I believe. It's an ongoing. If you look, We've got page and a half of this one. Since 2008, applications have gone forward for this changing this house. The neighbour has objected on every occasion. She's objected to this one. It's very difficult because the people who live there are not the applicant. It's the landlord who's the applicant. The people who live there are not. I probably would like to say, I think personally, that again, it is just we're trying to do too much on the property because of its proximity to the neighbour.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The impact on the neighbour, I think, is
So we're going to Euclid Street scene and
an impact on the neighbouring
impact on the
properties.
neighbouring property.
So I probably would say recommend refusal, but I mean I need the rest of you to be happy with that. It's a very difficult one. It is quite a large.
I would go with that one, David, if I may.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
You
I
want
would
to do
see.
that? Yeah?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, good. I mean, it's a very difficult one because of the fact that we can't see the property. I've seen it on two occasions when it comes to Plans North previously, and each time the extension just seems to be large. But anyway, I won't discuss that any further because as I said, it comes to Plans North, I have to go through it all again. Right, we move to 5/2016-2383, single-storey rear extension, 8 Belcroft Way. I have no objection to this one.
No objection.
I mean, the huge properties over here.
Yeah.
Is this no?
Okay, I agree.
Next one is discharge condition. I'm going to worry too much about that. 5/2016-2413. Again, don't need to make a comment. Right, 5/2016-2421, 14 Pennycroft, part single, part two-storey front extension, incorporating new entrance porch, following removal of front canopy, partial garage conversion to utility room, single-storey side extension with roof lights, raised roof to create second floor accommodation with roof lights, and alterations to openings. Over to you all.
Raises if you look at the street scene as existing and as proposed, it raises the roof line a bit, but then again that matches the one to the right of it. So,
We have a graduating step there.
you know what I mean?
Big, not so big, and can't really go street scene on that one, can we?
Can't really go street scene, it's more matching the one on the right.
Yes, I see our officers made a comment for us to help us that the application is smaller than a granted extension for number 18, which is 2 doors away. So, the precedent's been set really in that respect. And again, a neighbour has not objected to this one at all.
And they're quite
No.
long.
Again, they're on reasonable sized plots.
I don't think I objected this time.
Plenty of parking.
I think it's pretty reasonable, to be honest.
It's not the Juliet balcony involved.
No. Nothing.
Right, 5/2016-2427, single-storey rear extension with roof lights, alterations to openings, 18 Wheathampstead Road.
How does this match to the previous application?
It was 2011, St Albans just said it was originally refused, and then they put an invalid application in, and then they altered it in 2011, and I don't think they built it as far as I can see. I think now.
I think that was my question. Is this effectively a resubmission, hoping that the fullness of time has moistened the memory?
It's only single story, so because last time was a two-story side and single-story front extension.
Sorry, single story.
This is a single-story rear, which might be able to what we've already got, but I personally don't worry too much about single-story unless the neighbours.
Unless they come out a hell of a long way.
Well, indeed, but unfortunately we haven't got access to the rear.
No.
So we can't have a look with what on its impact is how far it goes back. So I'm.
Sounds
I don't know what our officers have said. So
No objection.
recommended no objection, which I'm happy with.
Yep.
And unless the officer sees something which we haven't seen.
Yeah.
There's a page. Not to worry too much about the next one. Certificate of lawfulness. Adding a ground floor window. So we'll move forward to, that was 5/2016 2432. 5/2016 2434, discharge of conditions. We don't need to worry about that. 5/2016 2436, certificate of lawfulness. We don't need to worry about that. That's at Grove School. I was more concerned about the erection of a timber-framed open-sided canopy. Not sure whether it was to keep the children dry. It's obviously not a smoking shelter, but it was.
It's common for schools these days.
Sorry.
These types of shelters are quite common in schools these days.
Yes,
It is literally a running shelter, almost a sheltered play area.
Yeah. Next one, discharge of condition 3, 5/2016 2437, Oakley Road, no comment required. And then we move to 5/2016 2443, which was single-story front, two-story side and part single, part two-story rear extension and loft conversion with front roof lights and rear dormer window, part retrospective. Those of you who sit on this committee know I am very anti-retrospective in that respect, but unfortunately these things do happen.
Which is the...
I can't see a reason for refusal, although I can't see the back. I don't know how many houses have got dormer windows. It's a difficult one, this one, and I think we need guidance from the officer in St Albans of whether really it's in keeping with the neighbouring property or otherwise.
Yeah, we've got difficulty within keeping with the rears. We
can't see the rear, you see, so we can't see what's so on paper I'm not anti, although I am concerned when it becomes retrospective.
Could we write down no objection, subject to no loss of amenity to neighbouring properties?
I
was thinking exactly the same thing. Thank you very much.
Is that okay, yeah, because then we're covering ourselves because we can't see what impact that rear dormer window might have. Okay, 5/2016 2458, One West Common Way, a new front boundary wall with brick piers and timber gates to vehicle and pedestrian entrance following removal of the existing. It's locally listed building, conservation area. Again, we need guidance from St Albans to make sure we're using the right bricks and the right design.
as
fit
laid
in
out.
with the keeping. So I'm not objecting to it, subject to it complying with
Yeah.
rather like the officer's put. Okay. 5/2016-2475, alteration to car parking bays incorporating race slope with new surface, new retaining wall and storm water channel, 14 Newton Close. I don't have any objection to it, as long as we're not losing a car parking
That's
space.
right,
Yeah.
yes. It's very tight around here.
It is, Newton Close is a car parking nightmare, isn't it?
This is.
So,
Might I then suggest no objection subject to no loss of existing car?
yes.
Yeah, that's very good.
Can I just add, Chair, there is an office comment on here that it's creating off-road parking for 2 cars.
Oh, so
Is that not existing currently?
So presumably it does need, because there isn't any parking there at all, really. Might be one on the drive. So.
Just in case it doesn't preclude someone else who might park in front there. They go to their parks in front of these new places.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to say what you said. The random 2 parking spaces, as far as I'm concerned, there isn't going to be a loss. It's helping. I think what we've done is they've paved the front garden
Yes.
to make it into 2 parking spaces, which only had one originally in the garage. I presume now they're using the garage. So,
Sounds good.
Right, now, so how does that affect the street scene of the rest? Unfortunately, we've had a look at this one.
well, unfortunately, Newton Close is a difficult street scene anyway. It's car parking and car parking, because there's more cars than were ever built in the estate.
I'm happy. Thank you.
Right, next one's to charge a condition, 5/2016-2537 materials, we don't get involved in that. 5/2016-2540, single-storey front extension with canopy front porch, first floor side extension, part single-storey, part two-storey rear extension, partial garage conversion, alterations to openings, 49 the Deerings. I like what the officer said, no objection provided there's no loss of immunity to neighbouring property at number 47.
Yes.
Unless you've got any more information, truly.
No. It's a very large plot.
It is, yeah.
So,
Quite happy with that. Again, no objections being received at the moment. So.
yes.
Next one's to charge a condition, 5/2016-2554. Some materials, don't worry about that. 23 is common. That's that. Next one similarly. This one is 5/2016-2259. Discharge of condition, disposal of rainwater. The building behind us, James Marshall House. I didn't study too much where the rainwater was going to go, but they're not allowed to put it into the sewer anymore, so it has to go somewhere.
The facetious comment being, as long as it's not into our car park.
Yes. You don't need to get too much involved in that.
Unless it comes into our car park.
Next one, 5/2016-2277, single-storey rear extension following removal of existing conservatory, first floor side extension, loft extension with roof lights, 45 Southbound Road. Now, this was quite interesting because another application went in not long ago, quite similar. The building is locally listed and it is in the conservation area, and then they withdrew it. So I'm presuming by that, having withdrawn that application that went in earlier, they took guidance from the district council, altered it. There must have been a pre-app meeting, I'm presuming. It doesn't say so, but I'm guessing they took some guidance and put an application in that was more acceptable. Officer's recommendation, no objection, subject to appropriate design, use of materials, locally listed, conservation area. Again, we need conservation officer guiding it. Happy with that?
Yeah, I was going to say that we've had quite a few applications where people have demolished conservatories and put more permanent structure instead, and I think it sounds quite good.
Again, it's most of it's to the rear, so we can't see it anyway. So right, 5/2016/2322. Is this the post office? Yeah, this is the post office moving to Smith's. A post office sign. Again, I'm quite happy that it's the appropriate design. It's locally listed, and our officers in St Albans seem to have their own rules on our high street and what signs they like or don't like. But I think a post office sign isn't too.
In amongst what's already there,
Well, I was going to say
it's not going to be.
It's got a bit of everything.
It's totally traditional.
Yes.
And wouldn't be regarded as being out of keeping.
And people will be looking for one.
That you need to know where it is. Yes.
Yeah. So quite happy with what our officer said. It's going to open by the 20th of October.
Okay.
I'm sure most of you might have seen the letter.
Obviously they've got quite bold doors in, and we're just wondering whether they've gone as far as starting in the back.
Well, they're going to have a complete new front to the building, and in keeping with the conservation area, it's going to have a complete, and it's no longer going to have a sloping floor. It's going to have a flat floor. Half of it was taken last weekend.
Point of information, is it closing currently?
No, it's going to be done overnight.
Wow.
It's not going to close for a day. It's going to be done between Saturday night and Sunday opening. Yeah, they're going to work through the night. Interesting times, but anyway, at least we're not losing the post office. Right, 5/2016/2375, change of use from financial and professional services to restaurant, 9 Station Road. Is this the one?
The post office.
Building Society.
This is
Oh,
the
the
post
post
office.
office. Of course, yeah, of course it is.
9A was
Yes.
the post office. The sorting officer is 9A. Campers is 9.
What kind of restaurant are we going to?
Interesting. Yeah.
Do we say what kind?
Another Italian.
Please no. Sorry. We have something different.
I don't believe
Coffee
it's...
shop?
It doesn't say what.
I don't think it's set
I
down.
mean, we seem to have every kind of restaurant.
Who's the applicant?
Oakbridge Homes?
Yeah, so.
Yeah,
The Oakbridge
they've done the
Homes,
upstairs.
they built the flats upstairs.
Yeah, this is
Above it.
their document.
Can I expand on that one? I mean, we've just got a straight move to A3. With no indications it's not going to a burger chain or anything like that. I would express concern over the fact that we have no detail as to exactly what it is. Is this A3 with takeaway or is it just plain A3?
It just says A3 restaurant.
It says, proposal to change the use of the ground floor from Class A2 post office use to Class A3 restaurant.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, you couldn't say you didn't want a McDonald's because a restaurant's a restaurant, a food establishment, and you can't say you don't want takeaway because there's so many existing in Station Road.
Right, that bears on another thing that we used to use. The other way about. The actual frontage of the post office used to affect, the actual grant of how many A3s, because, again, does the rule still exist, because I'm out of date, where there is a proportion
No.
gone to the winds?
It would be if it was losing a retail
rather than financial.
Rather than post. Yes.
Understanding what you're saying.
I think there are rules now regarding, if I'm rightly, losing retail space to turn to yet another restaurant, complete takeaway.
That was what I was
But
referring to.
I don't think in this instance, no. Right. I think this instance, in fact, I think it would be more difficult, say, to turn this into, say, officers, like an estate agent.
Well, I don't know, can they not still come under the financial?
Yeah, but it would be more
Well, they've got no window space,
controversial,
yeah, well, I didn't.
but not to put it into. So,
Can I just say?
sorry.
In the statement document, they're saying the physical appearance of the building would not be altered as part of this application. But there are several objections on the list.
But from other restaurants.
No, these are from residents actually, yeah.
Are they the ones above?
Well, there's one here which is from 2 Southdown Road, which that's a residential property, I guess.
Are they concerned about a loss of
We know
space on
which
it?
Southdown Road is, yes.
That's Sue and David, yeah.
They're just worried about the fact there are so
Smells.
many restaurants and they're worried about the
It's not a
rubbish
reason.
smell,
It's
car
competition.
parking. Okay, and then
It's
there's
not a
web,
reason.
no, and then there's a web comment, which is really pretty well saying the same.
Yeah.
I'm
The,
just
the problem is there is no
I couldn't
parking.
find that one on the machine, it wouldn't come up for me.
There is no parking at the moment, so we're not losing parking.
No,
And obviously, presumably more people must use the post office with no parking than would use a restaurant, when there is people can park on yellow lines in the evening when the restaurant would normally be used.
yeah, that's very good logic, I think that's true.
So therefore, it isn't a reason to refuse. I'd be more concerned about what they're cooking and the aroma that might or might not be there.
I think that's mentioned here.
Is it? Yeah, I mean, it could be difficult.
Yeah.
I know on the other side of the road we've had a problem with several restaurants.
Have we got any plans on that? Now, having said that, that one comes to mind when I was looking at it.
The back sheets.
I mean, they haven't put an application in for a flue or anything for cooking or anything like that, have they? It's just change of use at the moment. I presume they will eventually put a proper application in for extractor things, air conditioning, all the rest of it they would need to put in.
I just wonder whether we could...
At some time in the future, but that would need another application, because it is,
This is purely change of use.
This is purely change of use at the moment.
Does coffee shops come under restaurants?
The new coffee shop, the new sandwich bar.
No, just like if you were if you were like a lunchtime coffee shop. Does that interest? Not that you have any going on.
No.
I don't have any objection to this.
No.
But I just wondered if they came under restaurants. Or they come under
Well, a food establishment which can be takeaway or it can be sit down. It's still A3. It's just with a qualification.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
It says that at present we suffer from smells from local restaurants on a constant basis. Another restaurant will increase this aspect of living.
Is it number 2?
This is flat 7, Old Post House.
No, this obviously is the people who live Oakridge Homes converted the sorting office upstairs into flats. This is obviously an ongoing problem with parking.
Is there anything though that we could say in here that would just sort of...
Because we don't know what it's going to be.
No,
It could just be a salad bar, no cooking.
I agree.
So therefore, until we know exactly what it is,
No.
with what, and then somebody would have to put a proper application in regarding extractor ducts, air conditioning units, which I don't know whether to put the air conditioning units because obviously the roof's all taken up with the flats.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting, but I think, in principle, I'm not against, but I think careful consideration would need to be for neighbouring properties regarding any chimneys, extractor ducts.
Yeah.
Well, this is where I have problems with it. I say we, and I use the collective we as the authorities, say yes to A3, and then we have difficulty with them refusing the next part when they come back for, right, we want the burger bar, so we need to put the link in there.
But that's what I'm saying now.
So I'd rather
put
see
a
the full
qualification
application.
in. We're not anti the change of use from A2 to A3.
But it's very
But careful
much
consideration needs to be given to neighbouring properties regarding air conditioning, extractor things, or...
Again, it's been down this route where...
But if we qualify it now,
we do
before a formal
we're
application comes
the
in.
A3, and then we've got really hamstrung by the next part of the process.
Well, if we put
finding
the
it
qualification in
difficult
there, because we're not making up,
Yeah.
because district will make the legal
Yes.
decision regarding what can be regarding extractor, its impact on neighbours and all the rest of it. We can only say we're not anti a change, but raise concern.
I like that approach.
Are you all happy with that?
Yeah.
Is that okay with you? Is that all right? So we on principle, it's going to be changed, but we want guidance on the next part. Do we have? Sorry, is that a bit wrong for this? Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Right. Next one's discharge of conditions, 5/2016-2382. Don't worry about that. Right, next one, single-storey rear extension. 5/2016-2392. Single-storey rear extension at number 1, Leighton Green, to create further retail space, conversion of existing first floor retail space of number 1 and number 2 to C3 residential use. First floor extensions with roof lights across all. To provide further residential floor space, forming two bedrooms and 2 one-bedroom flats in addition to one existing. Now this is on the corner of where the chemist is, isn't it? I think. It is, it is, where the, on Leighton. Is it on the corner, Kevin? Or is it further up?
That's the end of the process.
Yeah, that's where it's making it. Yeah, so it's here, so it's where the chemist is at the moment. I mean, it is a bit of a mixed bag. I presume they're taking away the rear access where the staff will park. Which does worry because there's an alleyway down here where the staff will park and where the chemist van delivers prescription marks. Because the undertaker's is here as well, so.
My difficulty with this one, it starts off saying it's to create further retail space and then goes in to say it's residential use.
I mean, with no parking at all, not that it really matters because it's right in the town centre. This one's a very difficult one.
Well, we've got two bedrooms and one bed, so we've got 5 bedrooms there, and we're talking 5 more vehicles. I accept what you're saying. Is the creation of the additional parking space
well, it's removing the park, as far as I can gather.
So it's the creation of the dwelling, sorry.
It's removing the parking space that's there at the moment for the side of the rear of the chemist.
Well, I mean, we're able to sustain the parking thing in the residential roads, are we able to sustain it in the town centre?
It's sustainable in the town centre because there's walking distance from the train, bus routes.
Chair, could I just add in terms of the, on the application, they've marked up vehicle parking, so cars, existing number of spaces 3, total proposed, including spaces retained 3.
Oh, right, okay, fine.
So there must be,
So no difference in cars. In terms of cycle spaces, they flagged that there will be 3 in the proposal, which is 3 more than there is at the moment. So that clarifies that there is lots.
Yes, so whatever they're doing, they're going to work around that space that exists for the people to the chemist.
Can't find out.
I'm not anti any kind of I do think we need more guidance for the actual planning rules, because it's conservation area, everything else there, and unfortunately, I cannot understand what they're going to do upstairs to add these flats. Really, it's quite. So.
Again, would we consider that the overdevelopment or not?
Well, not adding a story to it, the tidying up the roof. I mean, the corner's a bit of a mess at the moment. It is. It's a bit higgledy-piggledy. And next door to the chemist, there is a door that goes up to the flat upstairs before you get to the flower shop.
So I can't find overdevelopment, and I can't find lots of parking. I can't find it.
I'm not sure I can find.
I can't find a reason to refuse it, but I do think perhaps.
Well, no objection would be expressed concern in the conservation area.
We could say express concern regarding design, because it's becoming more modern. Although the chemist's got quite a modern front on it at the moment. I mean, no one's objected to it because the landlord owns the whole of the site. I mean, I just think he's tidying the whole thing up and probably making better use upstairs than it's being used at the moment. I'd like to say something, but I don't know what we can say.
Can we say? I feel like it needs to be almost like a no objection subject to rather than an express concern.
Yeah, subject to complying with the
conservation
conservation area design, design and rules, and let the conservation officer be happy with what we're doing. So we say no objection, subject to complying with conservation area rules. Okay, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, yeah, because I'd rather. Right, next one's charter conditions. I'm not going to worry too much about that one. Next one, 5/2016-2426, two-storey front extension incorporating new entrance porch, first floor rear extension, new flat roof with roof light over existing. Ground floor rear extension and alterations to openings, 98 Cowper Road. I like what the officer said. Cowper Road is extremely tight, terraced.
Again, is Cowper Road conservation?
Part of it, I thought the far end was, but don't think this end, 98, I don't think it is. Because this comes onto the modern end. It doesn't say so on the list. No. So, I just think the officer recommended concerns regarding the front extension, which may impact a neighbouring property at 98A Cowper Road, which I like.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that.
As laid out.
Yeah,
As laid out with the officer.
When I
When
I visited these, there was parking for two cars, and I just thought they might impact more number 98, which is exactly what the officer said.
Right, we move forward. 2016-2446, loft conversion with one front and two rear dormer windows, addition of roof lights and removal of chimney breast, 44 Southdown Road. Locally listed, I don't like front dormer windows, and I think that it is, again, like the officer said, out of keeping with the conservation area street scene.
Maybe we should be recommending refusal
So
instead of express concern.
We can take it a bit stronger and recommend refusal. At the moment, it's just recommend concern. Would you like to take it that step further? Or would you just say express concern?
Well, I looked at what they intend, and it doesn't look that bad to me, actually.
No, it's just front dormers on a conservation house, doesn't fit?
I think it is expressed concern.
Yeah.
Which is what the officer suggested.
Okay.
So, you happy with what the officer said?
Yes.
As I got the officer?
Thank you.
Southdown Road night tonight. 5/2016-2450, single-storey side rear extension with roof lights, loft conversion with 2 rear dormer windows and front and rear roof lights, raised roof for existing rear extension, alteration to front opening and removal of chimney. 50.
Those on the roof?
Sorry, I've done that. 54.
44 or 54.
Sorry, I've done 44 Southdown Road. Oh, it is.
And now you're doing 54.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I was going loopy.
Yeah.
I think likewise we've qualified it again, subject to no loss of any neighbouring properties, and again it's
Yes.
conservation area.
Yes.
I would tend to go with what we said on the last one, though. That we expressed concern rather than no objection.
But there's no front doors on this.
No front, okay, right.
Rear dormer, but no front.
Right, front and rear windows and front and rear roof lights. That's roof lights rather than doors, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's front roof lights, which is on this picture here.
It's no great show.
Roof lights are a little bit more acceptable than dormers in my world.
They've got dormers on the rear.
Yeah, on the rear, unfortunately we can't see the backs, we can't see what it over. We're saying subject to
That's right.
loss of industries, neighbouring properties.
There's an additional officer comment on their chair as well, just saying the front roof lights are in keeping with conservation.
Okay, so we've.
Yep.
Right,
So are we happy with that?
Yep.
Right, 5/2016-2529, demolition of existing dwelling and erection of a 2-storey 5-bedroom dwelling with accommodation in the roof space, 1 Fairmead Avenue. Now, in 2013, this application came forward to erect a 2-storey 5-bedroom dwelling with accommodation in the roof space. They withdrew the application. We've come back with it again 3 years later.
Is it exactly the same?
I mean, it's a big plot.
Is it just a resubmission, effectively?
Well, 2013 one was drawn, so it didn't really.
Parking.
Right, proposed 3. At the moment, it's got 2. As long as it gets its 3 parking spaces for 5-bedroom dwelling, I cannot find it. Nobody's objected to it.
That's all we had before, that's all we've got.
Yeah.
And that's full. So 5-bedroom, 3 spaces, so we're within our own guidelines, aren't we?
I mean, we could say, as long as there's no detrimental effect on neighbouring property, we could cover ourselves. The neighbour at the moment has not objected, but subject to no loss of amenities for the adjoining property. No objection, objective. Is that okay?
Thank you, got that, yep.
Yeah. It's difficult. They haven't objected as yet. Whether they've reacted to what's going on, I don't know. 2016, 2559, removal of existing roof, first floor extension and habitable roof space, rear and side dormer windows and side roof lights, 10 West Lane. Got an application for a single-storey front and side extension in 2013. We, as a town council, recommend refusal regarding overdevelopment of the site. Now, we've said, this time it's rear and side dormers. See, St Albans did grant that in 2013, so we can't really use that one. So, what have we said? No objection, subject to no loss of amenity to number 8 West Way and sufficient parking can provide on the site, which I think covers everything.
Yeah.
Chair, if I can just offer an additional comment as well. Number 12 already has permission for a new dwelling, which is a higher roof line.
Oh, right, okay, I hadn't realised that, right. Okay, so number 12's already got, so with what the officer said, I can't think of a problem at all.
No.
Thank you, I didn't realise. I don't get that far ahead.
Can I show you the plan view?
Yeah.
I think it doesn't look bad, actually.
No, I mean, as you said, if number 12's already going to lift the roof, so it's going to be a...
Yes.
I mean, Westway is a difficult road because it's just coming... at the moment, it's not CPZ, but it is very soon to be. It's the last road that hasn't been done around Swansea Avenue and the school down there. Right, next page.
That's really just the zones.
5/2016-2560, new entrance porch for a removal of existing canopy, 14 Summer's Road. I can't see a problem with that at all. No.
I'm surprised that isn't community development.
Right, another Olsey Gardens one. 5/2016-2575, single storey side extension, 89 Olsey Gardens. Again, I like what the officer said, no objection subject to sufficient parking provision being provided on the site. Again, I don't like committing it to part of the road.
So just raise a point, I think that's exactly right, because if you look at the bit they're going to do, it's that far back. It is very limited parking here, but there's still space for 2 cars. You've got to squeeze something down the side.
Thank you, Rod, for your research. Right, 5/2016-2165, single storey rear extension, first floor side extension, new window to side elevation and alterations to the rear patio. 6 Knowlescroft, Harpenden. The officer said no objection subject to normal serenity number 4. Do you agree with that? Absolutely?
Yes, sorry, I didn't print that plan for that.
Oh, you didn't print that plan? But no, again, number 4 I've at the moment objected, but...
Yes.
Okay. Right, 5/2016-2476, single storey front and side extension with roof lights at 139 Westfield Road. I mean, it's single storey, and he's got roof lights in a single storey. I don't see a reason why no one objected. Have you got the details of this, Mr. Cooley?
Sorry, I haven't. No.
Yeah, but it's all printed out.
It's fine.
I don't see a small section. I don't think there's anything on a single storey. No. We'll happy with that? Right, 5/2016-2543, single storey rear extension and single storey side extension with roof lights, resubmission. It got approved earlier on this year. I think they've just altered 279 Luton Road. I can't see a problem with it at all. I think they've just altered the permission they've already got.
Some comments here, Chair, straightforward. Changes only really relate to the rendering of the side and rear walls of the proposed extension. Permission has already been granted for standard work.
Right. Good. Well done. Thank you, officer. Is it Heather?
Heather, this one, yeah.
Yeah. Right, 5/2016-2549, single storey rear extension with roof lights, 2 Miley Close. Again, single storey. I can't see a reason. There's nothing great. No objection. No. Next one, 5/2016-2453, single storey rear extension, garage conversion to habitable room, 9 Lindsay Close. Again, I can't see a reason why. Are we losing a car parking space, Mr. Cooley?
I haven't checked.
You haven't got this one.
It says 2 parking spaces.
Really?
How many bedrooms is the property overall?
I mean, it's only single storey, so it's turning to a habitable room. It could be a playroom, a garage or something.
So So,
He's got two
yeah, I
bedrooms.
think partly doesn't alter the bedrooms.
No, I
So
think-
office common, 2 parking.
2 parking spaces, he's got 2,
Yeah.
others have extended,
Yeah.
so be. Right, 5/2016-2581, part single, part 2-storey side, rear and front extension with integral garage, roof extension, alterations to openings following demolition of existing detached garage, 8 Penthouse Close. Now, there was quite a big application last year. We expressed concern. St Albans refused it. So I'm presuming now, that was quite late on last year by the reference, I'm presuming by this they've come back again with agreeing with the original officer's reason for refusing.
It's quite a massive extension.
When our officers said expressed concern that the previous reasons for refusal do not appear to be fully addressed.
I would go with that one.
Yeah.
I tend to think that.
Yeah.
I think we must raise
Yes.
Yeah.
a little bit of concern. I think
it's
that wording
it's
is...
a huge change from existing to proposed.
Yes. So, shall we leave it that the officer said that the original, because it was straight refused by St Albans,
Yeah.
so we're saying that, yeah, express concern, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Right, 5/2016-2590, removal of conditions regarding environmental protection of trees. Then, right, next one's an interesting one, 5/2016-23.
It then went on to say, it's removal of trees, it put part single, part 2-storey residential.
But it's a condition, so it's...
It is, okay, fine, I understand.
It's 13th of April 2016 was, sorry, 13, 2004, part single. I think that was, planning permission was granted,
Right, okay, fine, so...
earlier on this year. So therefore, permission's been granted, but obviously they put some condition on regarding the trees. I presume now they've amended them, which is why the condition was put on. Right, we move further down. 5/2016-2324, partial demolition of existing and conversion of office retail unit to create an additional 10 residential dwellings, consisting of 5 one-bedroom apartments and 5 two-bedroom apartments, associated front, side, rear and roof extensions, including dormer windows and parapet walls and associated landscaping at Station House. Station approach, next to the station. I mean, the new rules have come in, changing with permission to change offices to residential space to have a problem.
This is the old bonus offices, the
On the corner
on the right-hand side, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am not personally, I'm not anti that, subject to it fitting a design that is acceptable, but I'm not an expert at how they're going to do it. Sorry. We can't really qualify it by parking because it's next to the station, so I think it doesn't need parking as such.
My other thing with this, I think this is the kind of development that we should be supporting.
I mean, quite frankly, that building has been empty for
exactly.
as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever, since we moved back to Harpenden, I don't think it's ever been occupied. I think that this is exactly the kind of 1-bed and 2-bed apartments. This is exactly what we need and exactly what's needed by the station, and as long as it complies with CC and everything to do with building regs.
Design and building rules.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
I would go on the parking though, but I know that it is in the town centre. But if we again nibble away at the already tight part of the development should, in my view, the development should support its own parking. I've heard this one said before, well, people will walk, but no, people will still want to own cars.
Yeah.
If not for going to work, for
Well, I'm
going
not
out
sure.
socially.
See, I always thought it's got parking before when Bovis was there. Director of Motor Sort it was.
I'm
But
looking at
I'm
what we
not
said
sure what there is at
before.
the back.
Yeah.
Because before there were 10 parking spaces.
Yeah.
So can we just check what the parking?
Unfortunately, no vehicle parking details were submitted for this application.
So we could qualify it by saying no objections to it, but would like more details regarding parking provision.
I wouldn't say
What-
no objection, no objection to the development in principle, would want to see detailed plans
The
with regard to
concern
parking.
regarding no detailed provision for parking.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry.
If an ambulance was called for these problems, park,
Well, they can't back behind the restaurants.
Isn't it?
From
It would literally go up a station approach and in that way,
okay.
as with any flats, you'd be taking them out the front door.
Really nice to see the garden was tied up rather than being used as rubbish bin for the taxi drivers.
Yeah.
And more.
You will indeed, yes. It's just. So we can say, in principle, we happy with it, but we would like to see further details of the parking provision.
Happy with that.
That sounds very
So
good.
is that no objection?
So, no objection in
In
principle.
principle, keywords.
Okay.
But.
But we would like,
Absolutely.
we would like to see
Yeah.
details of parking provision.
Okay.
Okay, because there's none on the application, and we haven't got anything before us.
As is
As you
nice.
say, with that many flats,
People are going to want
not
to
all
have
of you on
cars.
bikes.
No.
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 So I think we qualify it by that saying,
Again, if I may reminisce slightly, I remember a planning application in St Albans which had absolutely no car parking provision. There was quite a lot of objection to it. One person got up and said, well, we don't expect people to own cars there, and it went through, and they lived to regret the day ever since.
well, because we did have this problem with the flats with the post office. That I think there's 24 flats, and I think there was only parking spaces for like 8 cars behind the post office.
Again,
This
my
argument was all the way put through, and now there is a major problem down there because they're trying to double park and everything, and
you've got that, and then if they are naturally moving, well, they then naturally move out into the CPZs.
yeah,
Um,
it just complicates things. even
and
more.
they move into the car parks, and it's just a lessening of car parking available for those that have to drive to the station and commute. So it still is a problem.
Right. 5/2016-2461 discharge conditions. We don't need to worry about that. Right. 5/2016-2480 advertising consent new illuminated fascia sign and replacement electronic awning. Who's this for? Which can't read through this one.
Barber shop.
Oh, so
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Chair, can I just say, I think you said... new
oh, it's the one that's
illuminated.
been... Oh, it's the barber shop. Oh, right. Anyway, I'm not subject to it complying with the...
Yeah.
It's non-illuminated as well.
It's not a okay,
So-
thank you.
Not
Yes, new non-illuminated, so I'm not anti. Yeah, subject to it complying with what the officer said. Next one, 5/2016-2523. We don't make comments on that because it's Councillor Weaver. He's a town councillor now, so it won't come to plans referrals at the district council. It's only a single story rear anyway, but we don't talk about that. Right, 5/2016-2558. 2-storey rear and single-storey side extension, roof alterations, removal of existing carport, new carport, new raised patio, 10 Northers End Lane. I mean, again, it's single-storey. I've no objection to no laws of amenities, but the officer said.
Yeah.
She said any comments on that?
Two-storey rear, though.
So additional notes from Heather on this one. There appears to be ample space to accommodate changes, small increase in footprint, also change in angle, single story to side of number 12, no increase in the number of bedrooms.
Yeah, can I just say it's on
Oh, sorry.
very large.
Thank you, Trudy. Yeah, as you said, it's on a big plot, so we've qualified it by saying no loss of subject to no loss of increase.
Yes.
Well done as always. Next one, this is a replacement of the shop front at Smith's. Because it had to comply with disability access, which it didn't have. 2016, 2566, no problem at all. It's, is this 9 High Street, or is it not 9? No, not 9 High, it's not.
So this is the...
This is 9 High, it's confusing.
Sorry, I've gone too far along.
Oh, me too, I...
Yes, so, second letters are having a rebrand of from the new sanitary code, also do some box plans.
So essentially, Chair, it looks like it's a slightly different font. Well, it's a very different font on their branding. So there's a couple of pictures there that you can see.
So it's no longer
The bottom picture is the new,
it's no longer going to have
the
a
new
snail.
version.
I think that was good.
Looks like it's not quite changed it.
We said no objection, subject to compliance with the policy, which again they're more of an expert than I am. So.
Looks quite nice.
And yeah, bringing it to modern. I like the window boxes outside, or the plant boxes. Sorry, not window boxes. Because we approved the George altering everything. So last time, didn't we?
Yes.
Right. We move on. 2016, 2572, single-storey rear extension, alterations to the openings, 6 Hitherfield Lane. Again, single-storey rear, no objection subject to no loss of amenities to neighbouring property. Conservation area, sales to conservation officer.
Very large.
Thank you. It is, subject to the conservation officer will decide that what bricks, etc. they use. Yeah. Maybe Councillor Kelly as always. Right, next one we've already done. Thank you very much. And the last one, discharge of conditions. So currently come by condition. Right, then on to the next page, we've got 2 prime notifications. I don't think we actually get involved in these, do we?
Don't believe so, no.
I don't think, no, because I think these are just coming forward to the details for the district, the calling period was. So believe it or not, at 9:05, you have actually completed. We've got a few more things to do on the agenda before we go any further. We've got right, letters of objection we've gone through tonight, because those letters of objection were actually incorporated with the application we discussed.
Yep.
So we've done that. I don't believe there's any appeals pending or in the system. Prior notification, we've just seen those at the back, they're for district, not for us. List of decisions doesn't affect us. Tree works doesn't affect us. And all I can say is the next Towns North meeting is on Monday the 19th September, when I'm presuming we may be discussing the hotel.
Best of luck.
It could be a very long. So if I can switch off the